everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price Group of Samson Properties. And what are we doing today?
Today we're doing a case study.
Love case studies. We're going to show you a case study of a buyer that lost close to $100,000.
Okay, so this is going to be a case study.
Yes.
This is an actual client we worked with a couple of years ago, and we're still working with them. The reason we're using this case study is because it is a beautiful picture of so many other people's situations, starting kind of at this point and currently, right? So if you're watching this and you recognize, you're like, hey, I think they're talking about us. We are, with love. And you're not alone, right? It's psychology and how a lot of people get stuck and why we get stuck. We're looking at it 2020.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
So many people are doing this.
Yeah.
We've done it before. It's like there's no shame, but there is something to learn from it. And hopefully, if you are watching, you're also going to appreciate what we're going to say about this.
And hopefully this will guide future clients or future buyers in this current market who face a similar situation, help them move forward and see what the future can hold.
Just to help you make a decision, right? Because also not making a decision is making a decision. So let's just go in there and let's see what we're looking at here.
Okay.
So
all right.
You explain it, please.
All right, here we go. So this property, the subject property is 10900 Scott Drive. The address does not matter on this, but what matters is the details of the property. So this was June 17th, 2022 was the settlement date on this property, which means it probably went under contract around May 15th to May 17th of 2022. The important thing about 2022 was interest rates started going up in March of 2022. Right. So this was right when the rates were starting to decline. Everybody was kind of freaking out a little bit. That's why this property sat and it was on the market for 22 days. And you can see a similar property here that actually closed prior to this one. This one closed May 27th. So that means it probably went under contract in April. And that one went under contract in 3 days. So you can see that in that time frame, people were getting very nervous. And so
and something interesting to point out there, right, is we don't get to know what a property that's under contract for, we don't get to know what that under contract price is until it's gone to settlement. So
all we can see is the sales price was $749. So an important part of what Kelly just brought up is this property that we're looking at, we knew that the asking price was $749. We knew that the property had gone under contract in 3 days. We knew the property was 1452 square feet, which is a little bit smaller than the subject property, but it was a great comp.
And it was 10 years newer.
10 years newer.
And we knew what it looked like, right? Based on the pictures. That's all we knew.
Yeah, so we knew that this was a reasonable ask for the seller to ask. The buyers didn't want to go that high. They put an offer in at a significantly lower price.
And one of the important things is the buyer psychology, what they were thinking, right? So they had just come from the very, very low interest rates. They had been shopping, had been maybe putting in offers, maybe not, but not really putting in the offers that would win anything in that market. It was crazy. Remember, everybody was waiving everything. Now they're very nervous because they're saying, oh my gosh, the interest rates are going up. We're gonna wait for them to come back down. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was a really, really tough time. And if you were in the market at that point, you still remember it.
Sellers were freaking out a little bit too. Then they weren't giving discounts, but they were offering buying points and different things like that.
For a minute.
For a very brief minute, Okay, so this property ended up settling at the asking price, which I think that turmoil is probably why it went for $699 versus closer to $750.
Right.
But $699.9. Okay, so here's the first thing to notice. When this property settled, it became a baseline for future properties. Now, this property up here also settled, so it was another baseline. So we had a $699 and a $765. Okay, so those are the baselines for these properties. And then all the properties going forward, we're using those as their comps.
Yeah, because see, those were both in 2022. That's
So then
a good point.
Here we go, we're in 2024, and you can see that these two properties are significantly smaller, almost, quarter of 25 to more percent smaller, and they're going for much higher in the price point.
Right, because these other two properties established the new value, right?
Yep.
The new price point of these homes.
Yep. So now we're going to look into the details of what did this actually cost? Like in a situation, what are buyers losing by waiting at this point?
Yeah, that's very important.
So in this one, for example, a minimum of $32,000 in equity, as high as $80,000 in equity, and these are smaller properties, so this could even go for higher than that now. There is a property that's on the market now for $825,000. If that closes close to that $825,000, that's $125,000 in lost equity.
Yeah, this one, if they staged it right and did the things, I would probably just I'm not real sure. I'd have to look at it deeper, but I would say certainly $795,000 to $8,000.
Yeah, I would say easily.
And that's just being really, really conservative.
Yeah. So we're going to use conservative numbers in our lost opportunity cost.
So equity means if they bought it in June of 2022 when they had the opportunity to get it for that list price of $699.9, and then now if they wanted to sell it for whatever reason, how much would it be listing for? How much would they sell it for? That difference is the equity.
Yep. So that's somewhere between $32,000 and $80,000.
Yeah.
Again, we don't use the $825,000 because this property is currently on the market. We don't know the actual market value until that property gets sold.
Right.
All right. So $32,000 to $80,000 in lost equity. That's item 1. Item 2, assuming they put 20% down on this property, and assuming 3% closing costs. In Virginia, typically it runs closer to 2%, but we like to be conservative when we're running scenarios like this. So 23% cost to buy the property would be $160,999.
So that's their money out of pocket,
Yeah,
right?
so money
What they
out of
would have
pocket.
to shell out by settlement to get into this house.
That's exactly
to
right.
buy it.
That's right. And that includes inspections. That includes anything else that they would have had in there.
Yeah.
So basically, if they had put $160,000, let's say $161,000, to round that up, and they had gotten $32,000 in equity, that would have been a 19% return on their the cash on cash return on their investment.
Yeah.
In the markets, you're not getting 19% on an investment. If it had gone up 80,000, which is what Kelly and I are thinking,
I really think it would. Yeah.
That's a 49.6 return on that cash investment. Now, that's not saying that this property appreciated 49.6%. The property appreciated, it could have been as high as 10%, so 5% per year.
Yeah. But we're saying the cash they put into it, which is the investment, right? And sure, they're still paying their mortgage payments, but that's kind of balanced out because not living there, they're paying for their payment somewhere else. And in this case, they're renting, right?
So we're
let's
going
go
to that scenario. And another thing to point out just real quick is the beautiful thing about real estate and why it's such a great investment is because when you're capturing this equity, you're capturing the appreciation and equity on the entire value of the house, even though you didn't put all that money in. To get $30,000 in a 5% investment, you'd have to put a lot more money. I was about to go $150,000, I think. No,
I was busy winking
million.
at Bastion, so they're probably going to be like, "What is she winking at?"
Yeah. So if you're trying to get a $32,000 return on cash or a cash investment, then it takes a lot more than $160,000 to do that.
Anyway, real estate's where to invest. Whoop,
That's
whoop.
right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Going into, let's say, a situation where this person was renting versus buying,
which is happening all the time. They're like, "I'm just going to rent.
It's
not
cheaper to
time
rent.
for me to get in the market, right? I'm just going to rent."
Yeah, because rents are typically a little bit under what the mortgage payment is.
Right.
But rents are at 100% interest. Everybody's concerned about interest rates, but you're paying 100%.
What are you getting out of that other than a place to sleep?
That's right. You're paying somebody else's mortgage, somebody else's
You
taxes.
may not even be able to paint your stuff the color you want to.
Which would really...
You may not even be able to change your floors.
We're talking numbers, not design.
Sorry.
All right. So if these renters were paying $2,500 per month...
And if you did, they're getting all the benefits.
That's right. They may want to keep it and then sell it for more. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. They're paying $2,500 per month. This is just theoretical. This has been a 20-month process. So that's another $50,000 that has been spent. Okay. So basically in lost income from not purchasing this property, somewhere between $82,000 and $130,000 has been lost. All right.
So at this point, I would have much rather been like, wah, I'm so sorry. I wish I had $160,999 left. And I said it like so many times that you'd be like, fine, Kel, let's just sell it. here, are you happy? Now we made $130,000. And I'd be like, yay,
Yeah, now our 160
that was a great idea.
Our 160 just turned into 290. It's like, that's good.
And then I'd be like, can we do it again? And he'd say, are you going to whine about it? And I'd be like, maybe if I'm in a bad mood, but otherwise, no.
This is how conversations go. Anyway, okay. So this is the lost process.
That's my leg.
Your leg's making a weird noise. And another thing to consider too is that because property values are going up, landlords are having to raise rents. Property taxes are also going up, so landlords are raising rents. So rents are continuing to increase. Whereas once you lock in a mortgage, assuming you don't refinance for a lower rate, your principal and interest is not going to change. So you control your expenses by purchasing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's so. The thing about this is now the buyer says to themselves, you know what? Okay, so there's a saying. The saying is the best time
No
to...
excuse is a good excuse for
Yes.
messing up.
Yes.
There's a good one.
And another saying is the best time to be in real estate is yesterday and the next best time is today. People talk to us right now and they're saying, God, I wish I would have bought back in 2020. I wish I would have bought in 2022. And this is the reason why.
We've said this many times ourselves.
Yeah. So now it's 2024. In 2026, 2027, you're probably going to be saying the same thing. But the catch is if they came into the market right now and tried to buy that exact same house, it would cost them $732 to $780.
Right.
It would still be worth it because it's going to continue to appreciate.
It'd be worth it, but could they afford it?
Right. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
That's the challenge. Yeah. So and it could be possibly more in this market. It might get bid up over 800.
Right.
So this is a
so
common.
now it's like, okay, let's say in 2 years you haven't gotten a raise or you know your work situation is the same, your income situation is the same, but now you can't even afford the houses you were looking at
Because
back
of
in
interest rates, yeah.
like just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so you weighted yourself into kind of scaling down what you're able to get into.
And that's because it's a good point. And it's because of both interest rates, affordability, but also because of the appreciation. You know, maybe you,
Right.
even with a lower interest rate, you couldn't go to 780. So now
Yeah.
you're looking at what were previously $500,000 houses.
Yeah,
that are
and
in the
I've
price
I've
range.
said this many times. I think I don't know if anybody's heard it, just because like maybe the one person who listens has. But it's like we got into our house. We bought it when like the day I got the
alert
rate
to
lock, the alert to lock notification, and I'm like, okay, we gotta lock this. And that was when they started going up. The very next week, we wouldn't have been able to afford this house.
Yeah. We do this because we want this scenario. This is a common scenario, and they always say hindsight's 20/20. So let's take this hindsight, put it into today's market, and use that in making decisions moving forward.
Okay,
If
so
you
the
got-
house you're looking at right now,
Yeah.
if
you like it, if you want it, do what you got to do to get it. And as long as you hold on to a property, let's say things do change, even if they change, let's say in 2 years, come down a little bit. In any 5-year to 10-year period, properties on average will appreciate 5% per year.
Yeah.
So you're not going to lose money if it dips a little bit. The only way you lose money is if you sell when it dipped. And we don't see any mechanics for it to dip anytime soon.
No, it's not gonna. I don't see that happening,
Nope.
especially here. This might be a fun exercise to do, and then we'll get off of here.
Yeah,
I'm
we got
sorry.
time.
This is gonna be a really fun exercise. If you haven't done it already, I want you to go on Zillow, Realtor.com, or ask us to set up a search for you for the houses now that you were shopping for a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when you decided now's not the time for you, and see what you're looking at now compared to what you were looking at then. And ask yourself, do I really want this to happen to me again in another year or in another 2 years? And that might really help you, because I mean, some people are about the numbers and like, oh, that makes sense or doesn't. But some people are like, do I really want to like live there?
Yep, that's right.
It's true.
All right. Any questions, let us know. If you would like us to set up that search, which I love that idea, let us know. And we'll see you next week.
Hey everybody, time for the Brainiac session. Let it roll.
Here we are with this week's market snapshot. What's happened in the last 7 days in the Northern Virginia real estate market.
Orange line here represents the buyer activity. The blue line represents the total inventory. That means the houses that are on the market for these buyers to go shopping in. Shop?
Okay, here we go. I love that. All right, so again, orange line is buyer activity. This was the week after Easter. This was the week after spring break. People are still traveling, so buyer activity has dropped dramatically. But also it dropped after inventory dropped as well. So Inventory did spike up this week. Inventory typically in this market will lead buyer activity, so I expect this buyer activity to continue to shoot up next week to catch up with this inventory.
Do you think it'll shoot or gradually?
I think it'll shoot.
Take a little. You
I
do?
think it'll shoot. I don't know if it'll shoot this high. That was a pretty
Okay.
big drop, but I think
Yeah.
it'll shoot back up. It'll definitely continue that trend. But what's interesting about this, if you come over here to the strength of the seller's market, is you can see that the seller's market strength dropped pretty
Yeah.
dramatically. And in the last, with the Easter and spring break, you can see it's been kind of plateaued and then came down. And we've had several buyers take advantage of these opportunities and have gotten under contract in the last couple of weeks with strong offers, even against multiple offers, but they had lost previously.
Yeah.
But because of the little bit of a lull and the buyers traveling, they were able to get in and
yeah,
and
like
win.
2 buyers within a day or 2 of each other who had lost out on multiple offers, and they were really good offers. It's just other people were outbidding them, got them under contract really, really quickly. So,
So
that's been cool.
it's a good time. Buyers take advantage of this. Sellers is a fantastic time to sell. You're still getting multiple offers.
Come
You're still getting
on
above.
already, please.
We need the inventory. If you guys have any questions or if you want to work through the scenario in your particular situation, feel free to reach out to us. And I think we did that in under 5 minutes, maybe even like 3.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.